And next up on Tuned Into NoCo, we have Alliance for Suicide Prevention Program Director, Kimberly Pratt with us. Kimberly, first off, thank you for taking the time to be on our show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. It's an honor to be able to share information.
For our listeners who don't know, can you explain what Alliance for Suicide Prevention is all about?
Absolutely. So we are a nonprofit organization based out of Fort Collins, but we serve all of Larimer County. And our goal is to prevent suicide through training, education, outreach, and offering support to those who have lost somebody to suicide.
Well, it is Mental Health Awareness Month. What are some signs that people should look out for in friends and loved ones that may suggest they're having a hard time?
Yeah, so when we're talking about signs of just difficulty dealing with mental health issues or emotional pain, we want to look for, we always share this idea of live, laugh, love. It's that sticker, it's at everybody's grandma's kitchen. And it's this idea that, is it impacting your ability to live, to go to work, school, to love? Is it impacting your relationships? Or laugh, is it impacting your ability to do the things that you enjoy? So is something that you're experiencing impacting your ability to live, laugh, and love? We want to address that. Other things that we're looking out for is isolation, changes in eating and drinking habits and sleeping habits, substance use, just really anything that's outside of your baseline. You could Google the warning signs of suicide, and it's pretty standard across the board. And we have to remember that some of those warning signs are normal for people. And so we really want to see, is this outside of a person's norm? Is it outside of our people's norm? That gut feeling, does something feel wrong with myself or with somebody I love? Let's check in with somebody.
And if somebody notices that it is outside of this person's norm, what programs do you guys offer?
Yeah, so we do a lot of prevention. So we do a lot of education. We're working really hard to reduce stigma. So if people are struggling with thoughts of suicide or experiencing suicidality, we really want to encourage them to reach out to one of two places, either our local crisis center located through Summit Stone, and that's located at 1217 Riverside Avenue, or we want them to call the Colorado Crisis Line. And when they call that, they can talk to a counselor or they can talk to a peer, which is somebody who's been in similar shoes with mental health issues.
For sure. That's awesome. So you guys do, I noticed on your website, free prevention training.
Absolutely.
So what exactly is that?
Yeah, so this is a training. It's wonderful, nationally recognized, evidence-based. It holds the same weight as a CPR certification, but this class is called QPR. So it's 60 to 90 minutes. It's a drop-in training. It's free to everybody in the community. And what it does is it teaches you some first aid level skills. How do I recognize if somebody's experiencing a mental health crisis? How do I ask them about it? How do I partner with them to make sure that they get connected to care? And where do I go for help? So we walk you through what the resources are that are out there for our community.
Is that included in the Hope for Today program?
So Hope for Today is kind of like an extended QPR. So QPR is our first touch point, which we recommend everybody and anybody really over the age of 18. It's great for everybody, no matter who you are or what you do. And then Hope for Today is for those folks who are looking for even more advanced training in suicide prevention.
Okay. Wow. Well, it's amazing what you guys do. That's incredible. You also do grief support for those affected by a tragedy. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, we know that with postvention, which is this word that we use in our world, it's that after a suicide, we know that those people who have been touched by this type of tragedy are also at an increased risk for suicide themselves. And so one of the things that we want to do to prevent further tragedy is to offer support to those people. So we have monthly drop-in groups for anybody who has lost somebody to suicide. We also partner with 3 Hopeful Hearts and Pathways Hospice, who also offer wonderful support groups for people who have lost somebody. And also we have groups for people who haven't lost somebody to suicide, but for people who have attempted suicide or live with ongoing suicidal thoughts. And these groups are run by peers, so it's not a clinical setting. It's a very warm, welcoming, non-threatening place for people who are maybe nervous to kind of touch the system, if you will. It's a place where they can come in, and all of these groups and trainings are listed on our website.
Okay. For people who do reach out to you guys and need help that is more, like you mentioned, clinical, are you connected with other hospitals, things like that can help them out?
Yeah. So if we have folks who are reaching out to us for help for suicidal thoughts, we're going to refer them to the health district or to Summit Stone, or we're going to work with them to find what works for them, because we know that not everybody is going to benefit from that therapeutic setting. And so that's why we partner also with like the Yarrow Collective, which is a group of peers, people with lived experience. And we're always working with folks to navigate through the system and help them get connected in a way that rings true for them and keeps them engaged. And the reason why is we know that 85 to 90% of people, if they get connected to care and follow through with that care, will never seriously consider suicide again. And so it's very important to us to make sure that we have that warm handoff, and we're partnering with organizations all throughout the community to support people in whichever way they need.
Definitely. So for people who are dealing with suicidal thoughts, or they know someone who is, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I would tell them, help people get connected. You know, connection is such an important part of suicide prevention. And when a person is in crisis, that can feel too hard, too big of a lift, too much to do to find a way to get connected, whether that is to peers, whether that's to a non-traditional support group, or whether that is to traditional therapeutic services. A lot of folks just don't even know where to start. And so one of the places that we always encourage people to start is with the health district. So there's a program called Connections in Kayak. One is for adults and one is for youth. And it's a place where they will help you navigate the system, if you will. They will help you find a therapist. They'll help you if you need an assessment or testing or whatever service that you're looking for related to mental health. They're a great place to start, especially for folks who just don't know where to start. Right. Sometimes we have people who are maybe even resistant to that. And so one of our favorite places to send folks to who are maybe like dabbling in their readiness to get some help is we like to send them to Man Therapy, which is an online resource created in Colorado, and it is hilarious. So that's mantherapy.org. It's a great, fun, lighthearted way to learn more about mental health. And I will say that it is custom created for the middle-aged white male. And so that's not everybody's, gotcha. Experience. And so if that's not you, take it with a grain of salt, and that's okay.
For sure. And I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but with COVID, I'm sure the suicide rate increased a little bit. Do you know the suicide rate now?
So I don't. The suicide rate nationwide sits about 14.0 per 100,000 people. And I will say that a lot of people thought the number of suicide deaths was going to increase during the pandemic. In fact, it has gone down.
No way.
So in 2020 and 2021, the number of suicide deaths in the United States and in Colorado decreased.
Wow. See, I totally thought the opposite. Wow. Well, that's good news.
Yeah. We didn't know what to expect. What we did see an increase in is unfortunately people dying from substance use, so overdoses and alcohol use. And also a kind of double-edged sword, if you will, is we saw an increase in people reaching out for crisis services. So not as many people dying, but a big increase in the number of people who said, I need some extra help during this time. And we did see that, which we're grateful. We're grateful that people are reaching out and getting connected to care.
Definitely. And for people right now who need extra help and want to reach out, do you guys have any events coming up that they should be aware of?
Yeah, we have an event coming up in September, but we don't have a date for that yet. We're always, touching different organizations and places and supporting events. And there's things happening all summer long, which we're pretty stoked about. But there's not like one specific thing that we have right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, kind of switching gears here. How did you get involved in all of this? What's your background?
Yeah. So I started out as a teacher in California. I was born and raised in Colorado. And then I was over in California for a bit, and I was a teacher over there, and just realized, I was watching the impact of mental health on young people and my own lived experience, and just feeling like I really needed to get more plugged into the mental health world. And so I went and got my master's at Chapman University in California. And I found the suicide prevention world. I have lived experience with suicide attempts, and I just knew this was the place where my heart was. And I wanted to help people get to the other side and offer the help and support that I didn't know about or didn't know how to reach out or access when I was younger. And so I found this work. I didn't know it existed, and what a beautiful thing that it does exist and that I could be engaged in this work.
Well, that's awesome. It's
Thank
really
you.
amazing what you and Alliance for Suicide Prevention does. Is there anything else you want our listeners to know?
I just would love to share the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline and the Colorado Crisis Line. Either one of those will get you to the same place and get you connected to care. So the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, that phone number is 1-800-273-8255. And the Colorado Crisis Line is 1-844-493-8255. So either one of those numbers is a great place for people to reach out and get connected to care, whether they're worried about themselves or somebody else.
Perfect. Kimberly, thank you for speaking with me today. That was great.
Absolutely.
And you guys heard it. If you need help, definitely call those numbers. If you would like more information, you can visit their website at allianceforsuicideprevention.org.